Are you really confused and feeling uneasy about what's going on in the world right now? And puzzled as to how this clown got elected to the status of president? Are you looking for knowledge and guidance? And in that search, have you discovered this guy? And maybe you've actually subscribed to his channel. Well, before you go any further, I suggest you watch this video because it could save you a heck of a lot of money. His name is Stefan Molyneux, or as I like to call him, Stefan Moneydew. And talking of money, take a look at this clip that I recently discovered. It shows us a little bit of something regarding the status of his company, Free Domain Radio.
Free Domain Radio's Bitcoin history, that is $1.5 million that he's withdrawn in the past 2 months.
Well, it seems to me, and I'm sure you agree, he's in pretty good shape. But still, that doesn't stop him begging for more. Here he is, celebrating the day he reached 250,000 subscribers. And doesn't he look happy?
Hi everybody, Stefan Molyneux from Free Domain Radio. Hope you're doing well. I know I am. I have evolved with your support to understanding that this show could win. By God, we could win!
Now, did you hear what he said?
This show could win.
And he quickly added, by God, we could win.
By God, we could win!
The way I see it, only he can win. But he's making you feel involved. Okay, let's move on.
For the first time in human history, philosophy could actually win. But I need your support.
And here it comes. He wants your money.
You get behind, you give money, you give support. $10 a month, $20 a month.
Well, if all of his 250,000 fans gave him $10, that would be $2.5 million. But what if it was $20? That would work out $5 million. But God help anyone who sends just $1.
I would like to read to you something, a message that I got today. I love your show. I respect what you do. What a lovely message. The message slightly sullied by the fact that this fine young man sent me $1.
Now keep in mind that if every one of his subscribers only sent $1, that would be $250,000. And here he unwittingly explains his strategy.
People will infect you with something called guilt, and then they will ask you to give them money. $1.
And now listen to what he says.
If you want to support the show, I strongly urge you to do so. And if not, get out of the goddamn way.
Mr. Nice Guy seems to have faded a little.
If you're consuming the show without contributing financially to it, you are a free rider.
Well, if you want to talk about a free rider, Mr. Molyneux, I suggest you look in the mirror.
I can't do it without you. I can't.
Exactly. And that's what makes you the free rider.
I'm just a guy in a room.
No, Steph, you're not just a guy in a room. You're a very wealthy guy in a room. And you're asking people out there who actually work for a living to send you their hard-earned cash.
You change what you're doing and join those who are supporting philosophy. freedomainradio.com/donate. Do it. Do it. You don't need another cup of coffee today. You need to help save the world.
That's right, folks. Forget about spending money on that cup of coffee. Instead, send the cost of that coffee to Molyneux and help him save the world. And probably destroy the coffee industry in the process. Now let's watch him celebrate the day he got 500,000 subscribers.
Hi everybody, Stefan Molyneux from Free Domain Radio. I hope you're doing well. Just last night, we blew past 500,000 subscribers to this very YouTube channel. We also know through the grapevine that some very important people are watching this show, and it has changed their minds on some very fundamental issues. So it's not just you who's being enlightened and growing strong in reason and evidence, but it is also some of the movers and shakers in the world whose minds are being blown wide open. And we're only going to get bigger from here. I consider this to be the first step. We are just getting started.
Oh yes, we are just getting started. So, let's get back to the financing of his quest to save the world. But I got a funny feeling it might involve you giving more of your money.
This is where you come in. I want to be very clear about this. I am free to enlighten the world because of you. I can say what is important, I can back it up with facts, I can have on the controversial experts, I can do the amazing interviews because you support the show rather than advertisers. We are at stage 1. I think we're getting close to stage 2. For that, I need your support. For us to save the world together, you need to do the right thing. Please, please go to freedomainradio.com/donate. Sign up for a subscription. Give me a one-time thing. You don't need a PayPal account. You can give a Bitcoin.
$1.5 million.
Now, if you have donated to the show in the past, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just maybe it's time to donate again. I leave that to your conscience and your integrity and your honor to decide. And I just want to tell you, I love you all so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's do what needs to be done, and let's do it now.
Yeah, let's do it now. But something to point out here is, if you're subscribed to his channel and you put up a comment that challenges His Holiness, you're more than likely to be completely ignored. Or, if you're lucky, you'll get his usual reply, not an argument. However, when it comes to sending him money, he's always there to give a helping hand to his poor, naive victims. Oh, but what's this? He doesn't look happy, does he? Oh my God, I fear something bad has happened.
The mainstream media and other activists are finding ads from major corporations that are playing next to questionable, objectionable, or unpleasant content.
Oh, would that content be like this completely made-up story?
So this is 1 million predominantly white girls groomed or raped by Pakistani men, mostly in the UK.
Yep, that's the one.
And as a result, they're demonetizing content on YouTube. And this is why, for me, I've never wanted to focus on ad revenue.
So, he's just informed us that he's never wanted to focus on ad revenue. But somehow, this thing of YouTube demonetizing certain videos means that he could still be affected? Let's watch the con man once again, demonstrating his talent by fooling his subscribers into giving him yet more money.
So I need your help.
I told you.
I need your help now more than ever. It's so important. Please, please go to freedomainradio.com/donate to help out the show. It comes down to me. Most of all, it comes down to you.
And once again, it comes down to you.
Please help us to do what needs to be done in the world. I genuinely believe if we win now, we may very well win forever. But if we lose now,
wait for it.
It's very possible.
Almost there.
We also lose.
This is where his acting skills come into play.
Forever. Forever. Forever.
But hold on, guys. Time once again to dip into that cookie jar.
Just wanted to tell you, the book.
Is there no end to his knowledge and wisdom? He's done 1 million hours of philosophy, but still, you gotta get this little bit more from this little bit book.
The Art of the Argument, Western Civilization's Last Stand.
What? Western Civilization's Last Stand? What happened to saving the whole world? Oh well. Goodbye, old friend. Looks like coffee won the day.
You can get it into your hot little hands right now. Buy the book, and now go forth and reason, my friends.
But tell me something. Does his selling technique bear resemblance to, well, other salesmen?
Just wanted to tell you, the book. Go forth.
Let's go to Genesis chapter 37.
By God, we could win.
I'm trying to get something, God's power, God's miracles, to you.
But I need your support. $10 a month, $20 a month.
Whether it's $1,000 or 1,000 quarters or 1,000 dimes.
I can't do it without you. I can't.
I don't like manipulations and gimmicks.
I've never wanted to focus on ad revenue.
God wants you to step up and advance in the kingdom.
I am free to enlighten the world because of you.
He cares about you. He loves you.
I love you all so much. You can get it into your hot little hands right now.
I'm talking about what God says.
You get behind, you give money, you give support.
You can do it by check, you can do it by credit card, by debit card.
Also, you can go to fdrurl.com/Amazon to use our Amazon affiliate link if you're out there shopping.
You need to do it right now.
Donate. Don't wait till later.
I mean right now, not tomorrow.
And if it's not going to be now, when's it going to be?
I mean right now.
Don't postpone virtue. Do it now.
Do it now.
Thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a great day.
Let's take another look at Mr. Nicey Molyneux.
Thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a great day.
And now, the real Molyneux.
$1. Get out of the goddamn way.
Let's imagine for a moment that Molyneux decided to start his own religion. We'll call it Molinism. And let's say that after an appeal for funding, he built his own church. Do you think he would send out a document to every subscriber showing that they own a share of that building? Of course not. It's a donation, but that building is his to keep. So, who is he, you might ask? Well, for someone who goes on about IQ and how today's modern world only pays for intelligence, he hasn't really achieved that much himself. I mean, has he ever contributed anything to the world of engineering? Has he ever discovered cures for life-threatening illnesses? No. So, in his own humble way, we'll let him describe what his talents are. But take it all with a pinch of salt, okay?
I started out as a short story writer, as a poet, as a novelist, as an actor, as a director, as a playwright, and so on.
He claims to be an author and a poet. Walk into any bookstore, you won't find any of his work there, because sadly, every publisher he approached turned him down. But he so much wanted to succeed.
I was very excited about the possibility of being published and going to bookstores and signing things and giving speeches and that kind of stuff. And I thought, ooh, that's going to be great. And having been blocked from that by, I would assume, a bunch of lefties who recognized the quality of the writing and found the content or the themes all the more dangerous because of the quality of the writing, I ended up taking the route that I've taken of talking and podcasting and videos. And now, instead of having a bestseller, which is 5,000 books, over 100,000 of my books are downloaded every single month.
But there's nothing quite like a real book, Steph. He also tried his hand at script writing and producing movies. This is a scene from a short film that he did. It's called After. And there in the back row you can see a large embryo like Molyneux doing a kind of Alfred Hitchcock by performing a small cameo part. But sadly, his dream of hitting the big time in Hollywood would never come. And perhaps that's why he's become so bitter about that particular part of American culture and constantly criticizes actors, scripts, and everything else connected with the big money-making industry that he would never ever be a part of.
You know, I watch Hollywood award ceremonies where a supposed artist screams and bellows out for punching people in the face.
Like to punch him in the face.
For political disagreements, and the entire horde, the audience of Botoxed brain zombies leaps to their feet in an unholy and unearthly howl of rampant bloodlust approval.
Oh, take it easy, Steph. Your blood pressure. And of course, along came Harvey Weinstein.
The Weinstein thing goes deep and it goes wide and it goes far. If they're leftists, right, then they're leftists and leches. It's not just a catchy half rhyme, and leftists and leches seem to go hand in hand. Look up Edward Heath and the investigation that occurred. I don't even know what to say about that.
Well, I do know what to say, and that is, he was most definitely a right-winger.
But of course I know about Jimmy Savile, astonishingly evil child rapist for decades.
Well, his name was actually Savile, Steph, and he too was a right-winger, and he absolutely adored Margaret Thatcher. And as you saw there, folks, he doesn't do much research. And here's another right-wing pervert.
Roger Stone.
The man with all the connections, as you can see here. Looks like he's lived a very colorful life. A very, very colorful life. Talking of perverts.
I've known Harvey Weinstein for a long time. I'm not at all surprised to see it.
And I'm not surprised that he's known him for a long time. And who could forget Roger Ailes, another right-winger? And look, Trump's lifelong friend, good old Bill.
This was a hit job.
Yeah, of course it was.
The Hollywood elites knew that if and when a decent, honest Republican ever got into power, that their secrets might come flooding out.
Decent and honest? Let's listen to some lines from the president's book.
That he used to go to a place literally called Le Club. He said he would see 7 models at the same time having sex on the tables. He said he would see 75-year-old businessmen with 3 Swedish models having sex.
But Molyneux will never ever condemn his devious ways. he always gives him his undying support.
I don't support Donald Trump. The allegiance is to principles.
And he went out and bought a big yacht, and he had a very interesting life. I won't go any more than that because you're Boy Scouts, so I'm not going to tell you what he did. Oh, you're Boy Scouts, but you know life. You know life.
The allegiance is to principles.
You know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean,
you are one.
All right, I was going to say that.
Principles.
A former beauty queen says Donald Trump walked into the dressing room.
There was no second to put a robe on or any sort of clothing or anything. Some girls were topless, other girls were naked.
And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
And here's another disgraced right-winger, Steph, who was once a good friend of yours, I believe.
I am here with the oft-requested and finally present Milo Yiannopoulos.
And Milo once lived in Hollywood.
I lived on the corner of Mulholland and Laurel Canyons. I heard things too, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, everyone knew.
Well, if he knows that everyone else knew, that means he knew too, and didn't do anything about it. But that's because he, too, was part of the culture.
I went to their boat parties and to their house parties and things, and some of the things I have seen have beggared belief. Some of the boys there were very young, very young.
So has he got anything to say about these right-wing lectures? Probably not. Tell us about Emma Thompson, Steph.
Emma Thompson just came out and said that she spent most of her 20s trying to keep old men's tongues out of her mouth.
Oh, disgusting. Oh yeah, makes your skin crawl, doesn't it? Now imagine that happening to your daughter.
I mean, my daughter is very beautiful, and what if she wants to...
I hope you're not going to say join the military.
I have a daughter who was interested in joining the service, but when she researched the military, she saw the stats on sexual assault and decided not to go.
On this subject, you tweeted this. What did these geniuses expect when they put men and women together?
So was Trump right to say that? No answer? Don't think so. You'll probably change the subject.
And now Ben Affleck.
Yeah, that'll do.
Accused of groping women.
Groping women, you say? Where have we heard that before?
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy.
Oh, that's one you can never get away from.
A guy in the construction industry will occasionally use coarse language.
Motherfuckers. Bullshit. Fuck shit.
Fucking shit.
I mean, where are we as a planet where this is a shock to people?
Well, Steph, maybe that's why construction workers never actually reach the status of president. Might be something to do with IQ. And this Harvey Weinstein business has really affected Molyneux pretty bad. He's actually said he's not going back to the movies ever again.
I mean, I have to break up with movies. I want there to be movies that I can go to, that I can enjoy.
That's really bad. I mean, how can we make up our minds about seeing a movie without a review from Molyneux? How will we know if that frog's a communist?
We have a hell of a lot to save, and I'm tired of paying for those hell-bent on destroying it and me.
Oh dear. But Steph, I've heard that you were a bit of a scoundrel in your day.
I had so many women, it's ridiculous.
Now, I'm not saying you're on the same level as Trump or Weinstein. Now, imagine in years to come, your daughter asks you to pick her up from a club. You walk in there and you hear this.
Oh man, I've had Molyneux's daughter so many times. And a hell of a lot more too.
It doesn't sound very nice, does it? And not someone you would consider to be your son-in-law. Now, if you'd said, I'd had a lot of relationships before I met the right one, that would have been fine. But what you did was like bragging about your sexual trophies. It's just a matter of, what's the word?
Principles.
Yeah, that's the one. Now, it's a pity he's not going to do any more reviews on movies, because Donald Trump just announced that he sold his memoirs to this guy, a longtime friend and director, the one and only Dick Harden. And in these memoirs, Trump revealed what actually happened in that hotel room in Moscow. It'll be a kind of Roger Rabbit production, and the title will be Who Framed Donald Trump? And yeah, filmed in that same bedroom. And he'll prove there was no pee-pee on the bed. No, Donald's a real classy guy, and he insisted on a big, beautiful silver platter. Okay, that was my attempt at fake news. So enough of all this sleaze stuff. Let's go back in time and have a look at how Molyneux used to be.
200 to 300 people have been killed in Iraq every single day for the last few years. 25% of Muslims support suicide bombing. So what?
But as we all know, that very quickly changed, and he moved further and further to the right, attaching himself to people like Alex Jones. And I think I know why. I think he realized he wasn't getting any younger, and really didn't want to go on for the rest of his life, churning out the same old crap till his dying day. And by connecting himself to people like Jones, he would increase his audience, which would mean, of course, increasing his earnings from donations. And that's something he's done all the time. Attaching himself to people with big followings just to get himself more money. He once tried to get Russell Brand on his show, even though Brand's views were the complete opposite to his. He's in favor of immigration, he's a lefty who doesn't care for Trump, he believes in God, and he's against guns. And he actually cares about people. But nonetheless, he tried.
Hi Russell, it's Stefan Molyneux from Freedomain Radio. I hope you're doing well, and come on my show. We'll chat. Just came off Joe Rogan.
Stefan Molyneux.
If you listen to him, you're dumb.
Might as well chat with you. Thank you very much.
And so he went over to Alex Jones, and he knows full well that Jones is batshit crazy.
These people are not frickin' humans, okay? A Secretary of State that has had sex in giant vats of feces. You'll never defeat God!
But he doesn't give a shit.
I want to thank you for coming to join us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And eventually that led to becoming part of the online gang known as the A-Team. A group of people who claim to report the truth but instead lie and deceive their viewers, and are now worryingly taking over from the mainstream media, and have convinced the American public that this second-hand car salesman is wearing a beautiful suit and should be the president. Basically a bunch of attention-seeking nobodies and white supremacists, with a great opportunity for Molyneux to promote his book.
Get the book, folks. The Art of the Argument, Stefan Molyneux. I'm going to make sure your book gets hand-delivered to Trump. I've got ways, and I'm going to get your book to the president. Stefan, thank you so much. Can't wait to read your book.
From then on, Molyneux would then demonize Muslims by doing a complete show on every terror attack and describing to his audience all the gory details. But when a young white guy walks into a mosque in Canada and kills 6 Muslims, Molyneux is silent. But when another Canadian crime was committed by a Muslim, he was right there.
It's in Edmonton, as a terrorist attack that saw a police officer stabbed.
And he just loves reporting on black people.
Samson fatally wounded Melanie Smith Crow, 39. The shooter, of course, was black. The shooter, of course, was black.
In the incident in Charlottesville, where a white guy kills a protester, he gets sympathy.
A young man who has found mother, no father in the home. And this young man, to me at least, clearly suffering.
But hold on. Breitbart have just sent a story to InfoWars.
Breaking now at Infowars.com. Top imam. Muslim migrants should breed with Europeans to conquer their countries.
And then shortly afterwards, Paul Joseph Watson's covering the same story. And look at the right-hand side. He's promoting Alex Jones's products.
Your Brain Force Plus at InfoWars Life.
And nice to see that YouTube have taken the video down. And then to Molyneux. It's almost like Breitbart had a direct line to these 3 guys.
More recently, a top imam told Muslim migrants to breed with Europeans to, quote, conquer their countries.
And this is where Molyneux plays his get-out-of-jail card.
The quotes that I just read do not necessarily represent the majority of thinkers in any particular demographic. However,
I just wanted to scare the shit out of you anyway. Now, we all know that Alex Jones is a big Second Amendment man, as too is Molyneux. And as we all know, Obama tried to change the gun laws. And he actually became quite emotional after the Sandy Hook massacre. But Stefan found that quite amusing. Here he is discussing it on his first intergalactic interview with an alien from the planet Zorg. And like Molyneux, he's just another guy in a room. But a guy who went out and bought some really fancy software to make himself look like a legitimate news channel. But I'll go for the guy giving a talk on fire safety. But let's get back to their critique of Obama.
This crying commander-in-chief over gun control.
It happens on the streets of Chicago every day.
I don't even know what to say.
I don't buy it. To be there crying and then to have to be seen wiping it away. To be there crying and then to have to be seen wiping it away.
Obama seems to be really interested in keeping weapons out of the hands of bad people.
And
he sold
$110 billion arms deal
to the Saudis.
Oh, the irony. On the subject of arms, after the Las Vegas massacre, there was talk about bringing in new laws regarding guns, like these. But Mr. Jones wasn't happy about that.
So they've introduced legislation to ban semi-automatic rifles. They're projecting the idea that 59 dead is just the most deadly thing in the entire history of the world.
Can you believe what he just said?
And it's terrible for those that got killed and terrible for those that got wounded, but hundreds die a day on the highways.
And Molyneux sent out a tweet showing other ways people can die, as you can see here, which is his way of saying,
people die all the time in the world.
No, he doesn't give a shit for the people that died that day. But on the day it happened, it was something from Hamlet.
An insanely evil shooter has attacked a country music festival in Las Vegas. It is the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history.
And once again, he showed sympathy for the white shooter.
Horrible childhoods have consequences for some. We need to start improving people's childhoods.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wonder what their dad thinks. And by the way, the words you heard on this...
people die all the time in the world.
Came from this.
Oh, you know, a kid drowned, and of course nobody wants a kid to drown. It's a terrible thing to happen. People die all the time in the world. I mean, if we just try and solve all problems, we end up with nothing.
What a cold-hearted fucker he is.
I mean, I worked in a daycare when I was younger. I'm great with kids. I love kids.
Really? No exceptions?
I gotta tell you, but I actually care a little bit more about my own children than the children of foreigners.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Especially kids who come from Syria.
Remember, the smartest people in the Middle East left the Middle East a long time ago. We are down now to the dregs. And of course, we all heard, oh, it's Syrians, highly educated, boy, they're going to be the future doctors and engineers and all kinds of great stuff. No, 65% of Syrian refugees can't even read or write. Germans, very, very intelligent group. What's great is the degree to which German kids now have to have their curriculum dumbed down because of an influx of kids who've barely got an education. Sorry, younger Germans, it's a shame. You know, you might want to have kids, you know, because having kids is a wonderful thing. Sorry, you can't have kids because, you see, you have to pay for the 18,000 children from Syria that come in every second minute. Come on in, immigrants. We need fresh blood. Grandpa needs some corpuscles.
Yep, this guy's heart is made of stone. And now he's telling us to have more babies.
Create life. It's an amazing thing to create life. If you make lives, then the human population is +1, +2, +3, +4, +5 to bring the next generation into being, to allow for a continuation of your culture, of your history, of your family.
And what about the brown people? Are they allowed to have more kids, keep their culture alive? Can they have 1 +2 +3 +4 +5?
They just have kids and 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 have kids.
Yeah, see what you mean.
Just breed like crazy.
You mean like rabbits?
It's basically like giving, blue pill Viagra to rabbits.
Listen to what he proposed for the boat people.
What would have happened across Europe if someone had come and said they just set up big machine guns? Then there would have been a dozen or 2 dozen bodies, which would have been tragic.
Yeah, like he gives a fuck.
But it would have been suicide by cop. You know, if I grab a toy gun and run at a cop and he shoots me.
Isn't it strange that he said that not long after this 12-year-old kid who was carrying a toy gun was shot dead within seconds by the police? Then he said it was natural that the cops shot him.
Well, that's natural, and if a bunch of people are breaking the laws and invading a country, then you might have to use violence to prevent them from coming in.
And then once again, he uses the get-out-of-jail card.
I'm not saying I'm approving of all of this, you understand? I'm just talking about this is the reality of law.
I wonder if he would have said the same thing about his Jewish German ancestors when they had to escape the Nazis. Now let's take a look at his partner in crime, Paul Joseph Watson, seen here interviewing the very confused-looking Roger Stone. And Paul is Our man in
Sweden.
Yeah, Sweden, a country that his good buddy Stefan Molyneux has discussed many times on his show and painted a very scary picture of a very beautiful country.
Swedish native Swedes, the blondes are going to be a minority.
Hey, Steph, don't worry your little bald freckled head over that. Sweden's going to fix the imbalance by importing kids from the Solomon Islands who apparently have blonde hair. And they've also got the blue-eyed thing covered. And who knows, maybe in time the cold Swedish winters will turn them all white. Now, let's get back to Paul's report about brown people.
Sweden has been seen as an example for the rest of Europe for the way it receives and integrates immigrants. However, in 2010, a far-right party entered parliament for the first time, and since then racist attacks have multiplied.
And Paul didn't tell us about that, did he?
Neo-Nazis from throughout Northern Europe have gathered here in a Swedish backwater.
This movement is so dangerous because it's the most militant organization among the far-right groups.
The neo-Nazis have, for example, been linked with bombings near asylum seekers' hostels, which left 2 people seriously injured.
And like Molyneux, Paul loves talking about the so-called rape attacks going on out there. But look below the reply that someone posted on his tweet. Well, let's listen to what some Swedes actually say about the subject.
The number of rapes in Sweden is extremely high. Is that true?
Not what I heard. You know, during the summer you can have drunk Swedish men as well to do stupid things.
That Sweden is a great country. People coming here as migrants, decent, honest, hard-working, competent people.
There are problems with integration, but when we compare Sweden to most other countries, we have a low level of crimes.
You look at what's happening last night in Sweden.
And let's hear what this lady said about Trump's remarks.
I was very surprised. It started to make a lot of jokes here in Sweden about that speech.
But like Molyneux, Watson never shows any empathy for these poor people who have seen their homes and country destroyed and witnessed many of their loved ones killed and now desperate to find a better life for their families. And after they've made that perilous journey, they are confronted by this. Watson likes to report on what he calls Muslim violence, but given what they've been through and then to be branded as subhuman rapists, is it any wonder that they get mad at all the film crews from around the world, sticking their cameras in their faces? And by the way, white people also get violent towards cameramen.
Fuck off!
Maybe you should look at your own country and see what's going on there regarding rape. You'll get a big surprise. Look at this. 4,000 a week. They can't all be Muslims, Paul. And here's a story he wished had turned out differently.
Swedish journalist Kim Wall. Police say they found a headless torso washed up along a Copenhagen beach.
After being rescued, Madsen was arrested on suspicion of murder.
Yep, the guy was Danish. And here's another one back home in England. Can't touch that one. And yet another in his homeland, where this poor girl died after her boyfriend cut her throat. He might look like a Muslim, but he too was English. But if he had been a Muslim, Paul would have spewed it out to the whole world, and no doubt that Talking Coconut would have done the same, as would Humpty Dumpty here. And while we're here, let's take a look at some of his crap. And here's Roger the Pervert to introduce him.
People have figured out the NBCs, the CBSs, the CNNs, that they're full of it, and they have to go to sites like InfoWars to get the cutting-edge truth.
She looks like a man. Mainline liberal sites think she's a man. Sandy Hook, completely fake, in my view, manufactured. I knew they had actors there, clearly, but I thought they killed some real kids.
And Roger Stone has now become a presenter on InfoWars, but sadly he has to promote some products in order to bring in some money.
We do need your support at InfoWars. BrainForce right now, which is among my favorite products, is available at an extraordinary 50% discount.
BrainForce. BrainForce. It might stop you telling those lies. And lastly, another Molly chum, Gavin McInnes, who seems to think that dressing up like this is an appropriate way to discuss the transgender issue. Wow, Walter Cronkite must be turning in his grave. So there you have it, the A-Team. A bunch of lying scumbags who, for their own personal gain, helped to fool the American public and put this very retarded New York businessman into the highest seat of power and turn the world into a ticking time bomb. Now let's take a look at a few of Molyneux's tweets. In this one, he's suggesting that Obama might be interested in bestiality. Yeah, all because he once awarded a medal to a doctor that went on to write a book about sexual matters, which included a section on bestiality. Is this something you'd expect from someone who claims to be a public intellectual? And look at this one. He's hinting here that Joe Biden could be a sexual predator. I mean, is he kidding? And if he wants this kind of stuff, he should check out the Donald. Oh, he just loves children, doesn't he? And this one here is absolutely disgusting. It's about Benedict Cumberbatch, and he's implying that the actor doesn't want any refugees near his kid, which is a complete lie. Cumberbatch suggested that refugees should get better living conditions, and he was then asked if he would allow refugees to live in his home. He replied that he would like to, but just after having a young baby, it would be kind of difficult. But Molyneux wants to demonize him, and very conveniently left out the fact that Cumberbatch does a lot of work for children's charities, so much so that he was awarded a medal from the Queen. Let's compare Cumberbatch to Molyneux.
11 million of these people are Syrian.
We are down now to the dregs.
And they are fleeing unimaginable horrors, the horrors of war.
And of course, we all heard, oh, it's Syrians, highly educated, and all kinds of great stuff. No.
Bombings, sniper fire, torture, and hunger.
You have to pay for the 18,000 children from Syria that come in every second minute.
And they are people, just like you and me.
It's not that easy to blend when you don't look the same.
No, Molyneux is not an intellectual, and he's not a philosopher either. The stuff you hear coming out of his mouth is something you'd expect from a messed up kid in a school playground. But he's not completely stupid either. Many people have accused him of being on the Trump payroll, which he has fiercely denied. But I too am starting to wonder. Remember this?
Find that some very important people are watching this show, and it's also some of the movers and shakers in the world whose minds are being blown wide open.
But he doesn't tell us who they are. So who are these important people, these movers and shakers? Certainly not these guys, that's for sure. Are they amongst this band of ass-licking traitors? Or do they hang around these parts of town, where the real big money's made? But no, he keeps their identity secret, those so-called movers and shakers. Now let's just say that Molyneux and the A-Team are getting paid through the back door. And let's suppose that it's Breitbart. Relax, Steph, I'm just putting forward a theory. How would they do it? Well, it would be very easy. They could just make donations to Free Domain Radio. There are plenty of ways to do it. He has 5 cryptocurrency accounts. You've already seen the Bitcoin one.
$1.5 million.
And there's his PayPal account, Amazon account, and apart from paying $100 a month, there's an option for a one-time donation. Simple. Now, listen to this.
I like to think I might have had some influence on the Republicans in the recent electoral cycle. I've been saying for many years, and I know a lot of really prominent people do listen to this. Oh, yeah, no, I get it. If you can't beat them, join them. Oh, yeah, you don't think it's crossed my mind from time to time? Oh, yeah, no, I'd like to get that red phone installed and wait for the call from the powers that be and say, yeah, you know, I think I get it. I think I get where you guys are coming from. Because sometimes it feels like it's just a feeling and it's just a temptation. But I will tell you, isn't it hard to look at humanity sometimes and not just think, what are you people fit for except being ruled?
Well, I've got my own thoughts, but I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. I think this video shows that he is definitely a deceiver and a liar and should not be trusted. No, if you want to do some research in order to learn about what the hell is going on in the world of politics, there are much more honest and extremely more intelligent people out there for you to listen to. And yes, comedians too. And unlike Molyneux, they're actually funny. If you really want to see a bunch of clowns making complete fools of themselves, I suggest you go to the circus. I'll leave the last words to the president.
You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
And now a few words from his whore.
Donald Trump is a glorious supernova. I think the man is fiercely intelligent.